So I used a grinder and a little die on here to get in these radiuses and clean those up. So now my pieces fits really good all the way around there. As close to as perfect as you can get. So now I'll take a marker. I'll mark the top of this and trim it up. So now I'll trim that up, put it back in, and I'll have to sand it to get it right down to flush, but that'll be just a little bit high. I can sand it and tack a few spots, and then I'll sand it all down and finish welding it. Before I do that, I'm going to spray primer inside here and on the back side of this. I'll prime everything before I put it together. That way, at least it's got some protection there. So I'll be back. So I primed the back down in here before I install it. I always try to use weld-through primer wherever I can. Especially where there's areas that you can't get to later. When I close all this up, not going to be able to get in there. So I've sprayed epoxy up in there as much as I could when I primed it. So now I've got it. It's fit really close. What I'll do is I'll tack it in place. I'll grind this off just a little bit so that these two edges meet. I'll tack it in place, and then I'll go through and grind the rest of the areas so they're all flush, and then I'll weld it all. So those are the steps that I'll take here. Now you see how that's ground level there. Hope you can see that. It's level right there, so I'll tack that. I'll tack that edge right there. See how that lines up? Push it down. So move over here and do the same thing. I'll tack that. So I get a tack down here yet. So something I did when I welded the back side of this, I turned my welder down so it wouldn't burn through as much, or it wouldn't puddle up on this side. If you're welding the back of something and you want the other side to look better, you might turn that down just a little bit. So with it turned down, you can see these didn't penetrate as well. I just turned it up. Now these should weld better on the next shot here. So you can see the penetration. This is a little hotter than these were. So I'm gonna take the sander and go around and sand this edge down and get it flat so I can weld it then. I might tack it a couple more spots like here and here just to keep it back. See, I can push that back. So I'll push that back and tack it there. Close that gap up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna finish grinding it. It's ready to weld. See how I've got it trimmed? It's trimmed around the edges. So now I can just weld that. You can see a little small spot right there that little gap. I can fill that in no problem. Same way with this. There's a little bit of a hole that was originally on the hood, but I'll fill that in as well. So I'll weld this and show you what it looks like when I'm done. Finished welding the perimeter of that. It's all ready to go. Ready to sand. Now I'm going to fill in these holes, and this is a simple way to figure out how to make your hole. I'm sure you've done this before. Most of us have. Just take a pencil, lay over the hole, and mark it. There we go. So I'll cut those out. Now trace that on a piece of sheet metal, 22 gauge sheet metal. I'll make plugs for these, and then I'll lay them in there and weld those in place as well. Same with this. I've got a latch around here somewhere. My stainless steel latch. I'll do the same thing. I'll mark something and get a piece cut so I can weld that in. And these little pieces here as well. One little hole down here. So I'll use that same system and get all my pieces cut and ready to weld. So I cut all my templates and then I marked them. Now I'm going to cut all these out and fit them, get them ready to weld. So I get all my pieces cut and laying in place. And they're ready to weld. Ready to weld. So here's a nice little tip. Using a magnet, sets that thing in there. See how flush that is? Works really good. So you can use magnets, and I got little ones, got big ones, got all kinds of magnets. So see, if you didn't have a magnet, that baby would fall right through the hole. So I'm going to paint the back sides, prime the back sides of these, and then lay them in place and tack them, and I'll be back. Here's all my templates. What I use is one of these little magnets to lay it on sheet metal, and it holds it in place, and I could trace it, so it worked really good. So I got all my fillers welded in. All these are done, ready to sand. And then I made panels to cover. I want to get rid of all this, and so that panel is going to go in there, and I think I'll use panel adhesive and just glue this in. Same with this piece right here. That fits in there. Close that up. Get rid of these holes and stuff. That'll make that look better. Should finish it off. I'm down to a couple more holes, small holes, and I'm gonna make a panel for the back yet. Been at this for about 6 hours. Welded this, made this piece, closed all these in, made those pieces. So give you some idea of the time it takes. So I think next I'm going to go ahead and sand all this down, grind this down, and move back and start working on those. I like to finish one area up at a time. It doesn't make it so monotonous to start grinding and, you know, do a little welding, kind of one area, and then grind that area and finish it up, and then move on to the next. It gives you a little break in between both. So after I weld, I usually turn my fan on, exhaust fan, and just kind of change the air in here. So that's why the heater's running right now. Okay, I'm going to grind this, and I'll be back.